And to our top story this morning, 17 people were killed, including both the pilots. An Air India Express flight crash in Kerala. The incident happened when the flight AXP 1344 with over 190 passengers, including crew on board, skidded off at the runway at Kozhikode's Karipur airport. Moments before falling down 30 meters down into the valley, forcing its fuselage to split into two. Relief operation quickly followed to help the injured, and all the injured were rescued from the crash site. The cause of the incident is learned to be low visibility due to torrential rains coupled with tabletop runway at Karipur airport. Prime Minister spoke to Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, assured all help, prayers for speedy recovery for the injured.
The local MLA Muneer from Kozhikode is on the phone line with us. Appreciate you joining us, sir. We know these are very trying times, especially for your constituency. Can you give us an update, sir, on those who are injured right now, the fatalities? What are we looking at?
The fatality rate has gone up to 19 now. Whatever we have got from various hospitals, but the correct picture has not come yet.
NDRF, fire and rescue, an airport fire and out of Calicut team, the Malappuram team, and we have received more than 100 ambulances from different districts, from Kannur to Thrissur, Palakkad, Malappuram, in addition to Malappuram and Calicut. So it was a coordinated effort from all the stakeholders. It was very good cooperation, and we completed the rescue operation successfully.
All right, so that's the latest that we're getting at the moment. Air India flight mishap is the unfortunate top story this morning. 17 people, including two pilots, have been, were killed, including both the pilots in the Air India Express flight crash in Kerala. The incident happened when the flight AXP 1344 with over 190 passengers, including crew on board, skidded off the runway at Kozhikode's Karipur airport. We're reporting from ground zero, getting you all the very latest updates. We will be getting you the helpline numbers, but this is a big tragedy that we're reporting this morning. For our viewers who have just tuned in, getting you all the basics first in terms of what's going on right there. The relief operation is underway, helping the injured, and all the injured were rescued from the crash site. The cause of the incident is learned to be low visibility due to torrential rains coupled with tabletop runway at the Karipur airport. The injured has been rushed to the hospital at the moment. On the side of your screens at the moment are the helpline numbers in case anybody would like to call up these helpline numbers if your near and dear ones were a part of this tragedy, unfortunately. 17 passengers, including two pilots, were amongst the 190 people on board the Calicut-bound Air India flight from Dubai have lost their lives, unfortunately. Here is what happened and how it unfolded last evening.
A tragic day for Kerala turned worse. Air India flight AX B1344 coming from Dubai with over 190 passengers, including crew on board, skid off the runway at Kozhikode's Karipur airport moments after landing. The aircraft fell 30 meters down from the tabletop runway. The force split the plane into two.
It's actually the cockpit of this aircraft which came falling down, which actually dropped from the runway, which actually came down at least 30 meters down into the valley. And you can see this particular cockpit over here. This has actually smashed into the wall. This has actually smashed into the wall of that particular airport. This is actually the outer wall of the airport, and as you can see now inside, that is actually the cockpit where the CISF officials are just trying to recover some important data. So this is quite a surreal image, and I hope you can see inside the remaining portion of that aircraft, because the aircraft unfortunately broke into two pieces.
Relief operations quickly followed to help the injured. Soon, over 170 passengers were evacuated.
NDRF and a lot of local volunteers along with the Kerala police carrying out this rescue operation around you amidst that pouring rain? I'm presuming it's still raining.
Yes, Rajiv, it's been pouring down heavily since the last 3 days in northern Kerala. And we were actually following those rains, and that is how we managed to reach here. And unfortunately, this tragedy has happened over here. And the first to reach in the spot was actually the local residents. And this airport is actually located very close to the residential area, which actually acted as a huge blessing for the people who were actually trapped inside the aircraft. And because the aircraft broke the barriers of this particular airport, people could easily get inside and try and rescue maximum people. And it was actually the local volunteers who first initiated the action. And after that, the local police and the fire force has arrived. Now they're being assisted by the CISF.
Both pilots were killed in the mishap.
Many people are seriously injured, that's what I learned, and some people have minor injuries. And anyway, it's very lucky that plane didn't catch fire. I think that's very, very providential. So all the people, I'm told, have been rescued and they've been taken to Calicut Medical College, and there are many, many hospitals in Calicut which are very, very good.
The initial assessment is that the pilot lost control, with heavy rains reducing the visibility. Reports suggest the aircraft missed the approach the first time and overshot during the second try. Once rescue efforts are over, the next step would be to extract the black boxes to know what exactly happened during the crucial moments before the crash. With Gopi Krishnan Unitan in Kozhikode, Bureau Report, India Today.
Gopi Krishnan Unithan is now joining us live. He's reporting from Ground Zero, getting us all the very latest. Gopi, rather unfortunate news that we are breaking this morning. This happened last evening. For our viewers who have just tuned in, our morning viewers, if you could just encapsulate the basics of what transpired and what next now.
Well, we are right now just outside the Karipur International Airport, and I will ask my camera person to directly take you through these visuals. And some important information that I can share with you at the moment is that our initial assessment was that the aircraft has broken into two pieces. But today, when the daylight breaks, we are actually getting a different picture. We can actually see in this visual, the aircraft has actually broken into three different pieces. So yesterday night, we actually saw the front portion, which included the cockpit and a couple of other rows of seat, which was further towards the compound wall, which has also damaged the compound wall. And in the middle, you can actually see the most of the middle row seats. I believe there must be around some 10 rows of seat, which is actually the second portion. And in the third portion, the tail portion, there are another 6 rows of seats and the back the exit entrance option of this aircraft. So to give you a better perspective of what could have happened last night, I'll just ask my camera person to show further towards the right. For those of the viewers who do not really understand the concept of a tabletop runway, you can actually see here, because there is a gradient from the runway area. So what you see on top is actually the actual runway area, and because it is like a plateau, these runway operations or these runway and airports are called tabletop runways, because it's mostly like on the top of a table where the rest of the area will be relatively in more depth. So the aircraft, it first made an approach towards the runway, and it could not actually make that landing. It went for a go around, and in the second approach, it seems that the pilot just tried to ensure that the aircraft stayed in the runway, but that did not happen. It overshot the runway. There must be at least some 200 to 300 meters even beyond that runway, and even after crossing those areas, it just came sliding all the way down into the valley. I believe you can actually see that there is a small dent over there on top, because that is actually the exact point where we believe the aircraft has crossed onto this area. It came sliding down, and it just came all the way across to over here. And inside at the moment, you can actually see very, very few people, unlike what we have been seeing last night. And remember, it's actually been the locals who were actually the first to reach over here. They were actually coordinating these rescue efforts, and In fact, many of them were actually trying to pull out people and take them to the hospital. And I believe that is actually one reason why the number of casualties have remained rather low, because we have seen a similar accident which happened in Mangalore airport 10 years ago, and the number of casualties were quite higher. But today, even though the flight was carrying...
Gopi, we'll come back to you. Gopi is getting us all the details. India today is at ground zero. We're getting a ground report. The Air India Express flight from Dubai with 190 people on board crash landed at Kozhikode Airport at 7:40 p.m. last evening. There were 174 passengers, 10 infants, 2 pilots and 4 cabin crew were on board the aircraft. All the passengers have been rescued and those injured are now being treated at various hospitals in Kozhikode district. A total of 92 passengers have been admitted in various hospitals. Both the pilots of Air India Express flight unfortunately lost their lives in the accident. They were Wing Commander Deepak Vasant Sathe and Captain Akhilesh Kumar. Reports are suggesting that Captain Sathe turned off the engine right before the crash, saving the lives of his passengers and the cabin crew. Wing Commander Deepak Sathe was a decorated former fighter pilot with the Indian Air Force. He had flown the Airbus 310 for Air India before moving to Air India Express to fly a Boeing 737. An investigation has been ordered into the Air India crash last night at Calicut Airport. Initial reports suggest the aircraft missed the approach the first time and overshot runway during the second attempt. Moreover, aircraft landed at higher speed than desired. Calicut Airport is the 7th busiest airport in the country and has a tabletop runway, infamous for additional risk it entails while landing. A tabletop runway is a runway located on top of the plateau or a hill with one or both ends adjacent to a steep drop. Moreover, of the 4 airports in Kerala, the Calicut Airport has the shortest runway. In total, India has 3 tabletop runways, 1 each in Mizoram, Karnataka and Kozhikode.
Our sincerest condolences to the next of kin, those who have suffered a bereavement. Our heart goes out to these people. This was a rescue flight, an evacuation flight, which was bringing back people who were in distress and stranded in a foreign country. And the weather conditions being what they are, I'm told that the aircraft could not be brought to a halt. And because this is a tabletop airport, it poses another challenge. And there was a 35 feet drop to the ground below. Now, we are extremely fortunate that the plane, which broke into 2 from the fuselage, that it did not catch fire. Because had the fire, had it caught fire, our problems would have multiplied. As it is, I'm very distressed. All of us are deeply anguished. We have lost, I think, I tweeted a figure of 11 fatalities, but I'm told now by my Secretary in Civil Aviation that the figure he's received from the Director General of Police is even higher. So now we are dealing with a situation in which we may have about 15 or 16 casualties. Now, I'm not confirming this figure because we are reliant on information from the ground. I think about 170 passengers have been taken to hospitals. That's the figure I'm working on. Right. The passenger manifest, which I've just seen, had a total of 190 passengers on the aircraft. And we would like to ensure that every single passenger is accounted for. And when the final figures come in, then we'll, of course, have a complete picture. But meanwhile, our hearts go out. 2 teams are going out, one in a few hours' time, one shortly, and then another one at 2 o'clock in the morning. We will do a thorough investigation as to how this happened. And all I can share with you is that we will provide all assistance to those who have been affected by this tragedy. There's very good cooperation going on with the state government and all the agencies involved in this. The state government, the NDRF, the Airports Authority, the DGCA, they're all cooperating in this hour of tragedy and challenge.
Actor Sushant Singh Rajput's girlfriend faced Enforcement Directorate's heat as she was grilled by the probe agency for over 8 hours yesterday in money trail probe case. Speaking about the companies which were owned by Riya, her brother and Sushant, the actor said that the paid-up capital of 1 lakh rupees was shared by 3 of them, after which she did not spend anything on the company. ED also questioned her about car apartment, to which the actor said that she took a loan of 60 lakh rupees from the bank and around 25 lakhs paid through her own income. Riya also denied the sensational charges pressed by the late actor's family, who accused her of siphoning off Sushant's money. Meanwhile, ED yesterday grilled Sushant's business manager Shruti Modi, Riya's CA Ritesh Shah and Shobik. Riya's brother and father have been summoned by ED for questioning on Monday. The actor too can be summoned again, but a date has not been decided as yet. Seventeen people, including 2 pilots, were killed in the Air India Express flight crash in Kerala last evening. The incident happened when the flight AXP 1344 with over 190 passengers, including crew on board, skidded off the runway at Kozhikode's Karipur airport. The aircraft fell into 30 meters down into the valley, forcing its fuselage to split into 2. But Gopi was just reporting that the aircraft has now split into 3 parts, and that is the report we're getting from broad daylight. He'll be joining us to get us more details on that front in just about a bit. All injured have now been rescued from the crash site after hours-long relief and rescue operation. The cause of the incident is learned to be low visibility due to torrential rains coupled with tabletop runway at Karipur airport. Prime Minister Modi spoke to Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, assured all the help, prayed for the speedy recovery of the injured. So that's the big story we were getting to you this morning. The Air India flight has split not into 2 but into 3 parts, according to our reporter Gopi Unithan, who is on the spot. The Vande Bharat flight has crashed. This is a flight that was flying in from Dubai into Calicut, and last evening around 7:40 p.m. is when this tragedy took place. 17 people, including 2 pilots, were killed in the Air India Express flight crash in Kerala last evening, and the incident has taken place last evening. The aircraft has fallen into 30 meters down into the valley, forcing its fuselage to split. All the injured have been rescued from the crash site after hours. There was a whole rescue and relief operation for a very long time that was taking place despite the weather condition and the heavy rainfall. And remember, there's also a COVID situation looming large, with hospitals also getting over-flooded with people. And at the moment, they did continue the long rescue relief operation, and despite all of that, despite all the tribulations and trials, all the injured were rescued from the crash site. The cause of the incident is learned to be low visibility due to torrential rains coupled with tabletop runway at Karipur airport. My colleague Gopi is now joining us live. Gopi, we were earlier reporting about how the aircraft split into 2 parts, but in broad daylight in the morning when you're looking at it, Gopi, you said that you can see that it's been split into 3 parts. What really happened there, and what more are we learning about this incident as to the reasons why this tragedy took place?
Well, right now we are just outside the Karipur International Airport and very close to this this crash site. And I will ask my camera person to show you, and let's stay on to these visuals, because this perhaps is the first time that we are understanding that the extent of the damage or the seriousness of the damage has been a lot more than what we assumed last night. So yesterday when we were all reaching here, there was very limited light sources available. The light was only confined to the rescue efforts which was actually happening inside, and we did not really get a better picture because we could not really see the way this aircraft was positioned over here. We already knew that the front cockpit has been separated from the rest of the body, and the cockpit and the couple of seats which were just behind, or we would actually say the front of the aircraft, that actually came a little further away from the rest of the body, and it crashed into this compound wall of the airport. So we were assuming that the aircraft had split into 2 parts. But today, when we are looking at it in the broad daylight, we can clearly see that that's not the case. The airport and the aircraft has split into 3 different parts. The front area, which included the cockpit, which is quite away from away from these debris. The second area, the middle part, I believe there must be at least some 10 to 12 rows of seat, and that's actually the wing area. That has actually separated from the rest of the aircraft, and behind we have the tail area and the back rows of seat, around some 4-5 rows of seats are what I can see from here, and that has also been separated. So it actually it implies that the aircraft has broken down into 3 parts, and that could be one reason why most of the people who are sitting in the front row and also in the back rows of the aircraft sustain more damage. And also to give our viewers a perspective about the tabletop runway, so this is what the whole arrangement looks like. Towards the right is actually what you can see as a small hill, but that's not the case. That is actually where the runway is, and that is where the airport is. So you can already very clearly see that the runway is at least some 50 to 60 meters above from the normal level or the ground level where the aircraft is at the moment, and we are also standing at that level. So usually in these tabletop runways, the landing is actually a very tricky job, because you need to be extremely experienced to carry out a safe landing in this airport. And I actually remember reaching this airport multiple times, and at least during the initial flights, it would actually be scary when you're just looking at this whole area, and when you actually understand that there is nothing beyond what we actually see, because it actually looks like we are just trying to land ourselves on the top of a table on a small plateau. So that is exactly what seems to have happened over here. That is the area from where the aircraft shot over the runway and came sliding down. We have been told that the pilot first attempted to make a landing at the runway, but he did not actually complete that successfully, so he had to go around once, and at the second attempt,
show us the aircraft as well, but unfortunately I'm compelled to take a very short commercial break right now. We'll come back to all these visuals that you're getting, all the latest updates that you're getting as well. We'll speak a little about the pilots who braved it, tried to save as many lives as possible, unfortunately losing their own lives in the process. I thank you very much for joining us, Gopi. Coming back to Gopi in just about a bit.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.